Hi, everybody. It's Olivia Scott with Freedom at the Mat. And today I am overjoyed. I'm delighted and I feel so grateful that we are going to be in conversation with a woman who is a leader, who is a maverick. She's a maven. She is really a believer in yoga, and she has an incredible story about why. And even beyond that, she's going to tell us more about her movement out of Houston, Texas, which is impacting the world. So if you would welcome with me today, Alicia Dugar Stephenson. How are you today, sister?
Hi, I like to say I'm excelente monumente.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So you are the owner of Mastermind Institute. You are an
It's the Gold
experienced.
Yoga Institute, but we're in the Mastermind Yoga umbrella. Okay, so Mastermind Yoga is really the umbrella where there are a lot of things that live. One of them being the Gold Yoga Institute and the overall mission of what we do. This is the mission that I heard in my ear when I had just been diagnosed with lupus in '09, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't see that day because my eyes were swollen, my ankles were swollen, it was so much pain. I was like exhausting myself by how sorry I felt for myself. Like it was just like a whole thing. And I
Hmm.
remember being not able to move, really do anything, and just taking deep breaths. And then I kept hearing this from God saying, world peace through inner peace, world peace through inner peace. And I'm like, the world's kind of big though. Are you sure? Like me? And it was something that was becoming consistent. And that's really what helped me decide my major, which ended up being international relations and French. When
Okay.
I double majored, it's like pretty common to double major at Rice. We're all like super excited about learning things. And I realized I really liked that type of work and that it's multifaceted. So the overall umbrella, world peace through inner peace, it's the master plan, the mastermind yoga plan.
Okay.
And one of those veins is by educating yoga leaders that are capable to make waves in our culture so that we can really educate people as we grow. Because the idea is not for yoga to be this, oh, let's everybody be trendy, fit,
Oh,
like we have to all look a certain way, because that would just be repeating the cycles that have caused so much strife in our industry and in
correct.
our work.
Yep.
So the education piece is so important. So that's the first leg of our entire plan. And we have to put qualified and capable teachers out there so that people can really start to feel and be the shift and the positive change.
Okay. So I need you. You kind of mentioned it. You mentioned the lupus, and I know because of our previous conversation that lupus is a big part of it. Can you share with all of our listeners and our viewers what got you on this journey? What got you started, and what makes you so passionate about yoga, 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 especially for Black women?
Yes. Ooh. Okay. So when I was diagnosed, and like I said, I like to learn things. I always called myself the cool nerd, or the cool, sexy nerd. Anyway, any of the above. I think knowledge and learning wisdoms that other people have spent their lives learning, being able to access that, like that excites me. So I went down the rabbit hole, lupus, autoimmune disease, what are the causes? I got into the forums. I started talking and asking questions with people and just really trying to figure out what it was. Because the scariest thing for me when I was diagnosed, well, before I was diagnosed, was not knowing what was wrong. It was just like if you're in a car and there are no icons on the dashboard, but you just see all these different lights and it's just, or you don't know what they mean. It's like, okay, well, when I go out in the sun, my skin feels like it's on fire. Okay. Don't know what that is. When I, wake up, it takes me all day to unstiffen my body. And then I almost dread going to sleep because I know the next day is going to start all over again. Like chronic pain
Mm.
changes how you interact with people. I remember my sisters, I have two sisters I grew up with. one of four in the house. And I remember they would say, you know, oh, Alicia, she's the bee. Like they would call me, like, oh, there she goes. Because it would just be like living in constant pain. Anything could cause an issue, set off
Oh.
the you know, what they call it, ABW, the angry black woman. It was just easy because I
I,
was under so much pressure.
I have a question. I want you to keep going with your story. I just want to interject and ask one question. You were unaware that you had lupus all growing up, or had you had like an autoimmune deficiency growing up and just didn't know? Did it progress? Tell us more about that.
Thank you for asking. I had optimal health. I was so healthy. I ate vegetables. I mean, I was an athlete. I danced. I did a lot. I mean, I did so many things. It was after my freshman year at Rice University, I had been used to being like the top of my class, being like the cool nerd, and just loving like accolades. That was one of my responses from my ACE, what the CDC calls adverse childhood experience. My
Mm-hmm.
response to that is to achieve and like
Okay.
get
Achievement.
positive, yeah, to like
Yeah.
go, go, go. So when I went to Rice, all of a sudden I'm not the top of my class. I mean, everybody's the top of the class. You know, we're all
Mm.
here. It was just like a culture shock in that element. And then being away from my support system. And so I really feel like I disconnected so much from my physical self. I felt like I literally had to mend my relationship with my body through yoga. And there was a rift. I felt like literally in every joint. And that's where it affected me. Luckily, not the organs. Some people do deal with much more severe symptoms than I had, which is crazy because some people could die from it. And that's what really got me curious. Like, and I made an agreement with God, and this is why I continue to do the things. I was like, if I can heal through this, I promise that I will use it to change the world. And I promise I will teach other people how to do it. And so that's why I use the term yoga diplomat, because what I do, it goes into self, and it's so much bigger than that. We're
Mm.
really on a mission to spread world peace through inner peace.
Thank you.
I
Thank
feel
you.
like that was a very long explanation for your
No,
question.
it was perfect. It was perfect. I mean, whatever it is, I'm not here to judge it. I mean, I asked, I mean, you are so genuinely passionate about yoga, and I have not encountered as many people who have such a story. Many people find yoga from some adversity they experience in life, right? But you are a young woman and you found it through something that was truly physically challenging, and you have
I
a
am
story.
older than I look, though.
Well, okay, I got you. I got you. Same here. Okay, right. Well,
That,
okay,
um,
so we know that there are a lot of physical benefits from yoga, right? But from your experience, what unique ways can the mindful practices like breath work and meditation serve as a vital tool for helping Black women truly process trauma, stress, and promoting overall mental well being in a way that feels accessible and culturally relevant?
yes. Okay. So I like to look at the idea that this is a vessel. And if
Yes.
you think about if this vessel is constantly under pressure and also being heated, because emotions like anger, they're heating. Emotions where you know, what they call it, crashing out, like that, it heats up the body. And so it's almost literally a boiling over of their vessel. Like whenever you know, those moments where, what do they call it? ABW, the angry black woman
Hmm.
moments, that it's a boiling over of everything that's stored up here and that's been like slowly creeping to the top. When we live in our sympathetic nervous system, that's fight, flight, freeze, freak out mode.
Right.
That is heat energy as well.
Hmm.
So when we can practice heated yoga, we can practice all these different kinds. What it does, it creates the ability for us to be able to flip the switch, to tell the difference. Like the way we learn, and I've been really fascinated by seeing my nieces grow up. Well, my niece has this aversion to being wet, like her wet clothes, because she learned really early on to the desire not to be wet so she could be potty trained. And
Okay.
babies learn, I don't like this. Let me now learn how to use the potty so I'm not wet.
Right.
When we're in practices, even a challenging pose, if you can breathe through a challenging pose, you can take that same physical embodied learning experience and learn something that will allow you to change your life. If I can breathe in this challenging pose, I can breathe in traffic. If I can breathe through this class and I feel like, oh man, I didn't give up. Now in my life, I don't have to be in fight or flight. I can breathe because the teacher's guiding you through the way. This is why I love live classes. The videos, they're cool, but the teacher can see what's happening and
Right.
speak to it and guide you in the moment. A skilled teacher guides you in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that teaches us to be able to flip the switch. It's not to say that there's not, sister girl, if she needed to come out in certain situations.
Right.
No, I can choose where I want to go because I've seen a different way. One
That's
of the
powerful.
biggest indicators they studied for people who are successful in life is having different life experiences because you
Mm-hmm.
get to see a different way. You don't think, oh, like that made me mad. How can something make you mad? You have to choose.
Mm. So
So,
exposure and being in different scenarios, and then you make it through it, and then it makes you even more resilient when you go through it. I love
absolutely,
it.
not just more resilient, but it allows you to get away from that heat mode because, and this is why Shavasana is so important.
Okay.
You
Tell
get
us,
to
please tell us.
embody the ease. What'd you say?
No, I was saying, please tell us. Tell us
Yes,
why. Yeah.
you get to embody the ease. Like for me, that was the first time I had a yoga teacher that tell me to unzip the tension from my eyebrows back to my hairline. And when I did that, I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, like let my eyeballs float freely in my eye sockets. Like, do you know how revolutionary that is for people who have never felt ease here?
Oh,
I mean,
oh, oh.
that's really the gold. That's the good stuff that you get from a yoga class. You learn how to flip the switch. I can be in gold mode. Gold mode, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, right.
For high achievers, gold mode is great. But when it's time to go into chill mode, do you know how? And that's the beauty of our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous system. Yoga breath work, yoga, and a skilled yoga teacher can really help a student to embody ease in their nervous system. So at a cellular level.
You know what? I appreciate in particular your comment about the breath work affecting, like, when you're going through adversity in your life. If you've been through a difficult yoga pose and you're able to breathe through it, then when you go through something else, you know that you can breathe through it. And that's, I'll say, that's, you didn't say the exact thing, but that's what I got from part of what you were saying. And it made me think
Absolutely.
about being on a subway one time in New York, and just one of those crunch times where you're just like, oh my gosh, there's no room around me, this is overwhelming. And I was holding on to the subway pole, and I closed my eyes and I just began to breathe. And this guy, he was like, "Do you do yoga?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "So do I." And it was one of those moments that you were just so, it was, the pressure cooker was on in terms of just energy, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, and I think about a car accident I was in, right? Where, I made it through it gratefully and I'm fine. But in that moment, I had to just breathe and be like, you're going to be okay. What I talk about is something that I was recently really shocked by when I encountered some beautiful sisters who said, oh, I can't practice yoga, it's not for me. Or I connected with a minister, and the minister said, oh, what God do they serve? We can't do yoga in my church. And that was unique for me because my church in New York, my incredible minister, Pastor Michael Walrond of FCBC Harlem, he had me doing yoga in the pulpit. and in our community centers. So I was like, wait, people are saying that it's not for Christians. So there is a contrarian movement to what we purport that yoga is good for us, that says that yoga is demonic and it's not for Christians. So for Black
Mhm.
women who are Christians as well, and who are curious about yoga, but perhaps feel intimidated or as if they should not be engaging in the practice or unsure where to start, what message of encouragement or practical first step would you offer to help them overcome these barriers and to even consider including yoga in their lives?
Mm. This is such a right on time question because so many of us, like I said, the people who look like us, the
Hmm.
women of color, the women of golden skin. I like to say that we all are shades of gold, and it's so funny. I feel like I'm taking the story around, but this is really important to
Okay.
our story. Okay, it's really important to our story. I feel like we were taught to see so negatively towards ourselves. Like even using the word black, it was taught to us to be equivalent to negative, like black magic, like, oh, be afraid of black magic. We were taught to
Mm,
fear our own hair. Like there's
right.
just been so many systematic strategies. And this is why I found international relations so fascinating to study, is because like these types of things, when they're consistent across the board, if you think about all the different countries that have they have made it negative to be of a darker shade, even in Mexican areas, Hispanic speaking countries like the Caribbean, they were like, no, I'm not black. I'm not that. I'm Puerto Rican or I'm Dominican. Like
Right.
they
I'm not Black. I'm not Black, though. That's the worst thing in the world to be. Correct. I learned that in New
absolutely.
York when I dealt with a lot of Hispanics, and they were like, oh no, not being Afro Latino. It's like, no, 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 no. I am not Black. Go ahead, though. Sorry. Sorry.
Exactly. And the research they did with those young girls with the different colored dolls and see which
Hmm.
one they prefer. So this is how I look at, and like I said, this is coming from, really just looking at it in a diplomatic, how do we use these tools, or what's really happening? When I look at the system and I see that this is consistent around the world, this has been a strategy implemented. When we
Hmm.
think about
Hmm.
the way that we control other countries and the way we dominate other cultures, and the power plays that have to be made at a certain level to
Right.
be implemented
Right.
across and spread.
Right.
So seeing that this has been something really strategic, I have to realize, okay, this is happening at multiple levels, multiple, criticisms of our own selves.
Hmm.
That's why they would say, hey, this yoga thing, this getting to know yourself, this taking deep breaths thing, this meditation, that there's meditation and breath written about in the Bible. We look at Genesis 2:7. It talks about having our physical body and our breath as gifts from God, literal things that God has given to us. So to make connecting to that evil, to make self observation, paying attention to how my body responds to people, foods, situations, that's evil.
Hmm.
Oh, that's in no way connected to how we can, need to change our rebellious hair. Like, oh,
Right.
you can't learn to be yourself.
Hmm.
So when I see that, it really gets me excited about leveraging our text, our resources that we have passed down. So the Bible talks about meditation. I like to study language. So I personally don't chant in other languages. It
Personally.
doesn't resonate with who I am.
Correct.
And so
Correct.
for
I'm the
many
same.
people who see like the symbols in the other languages as being the evil thing, or seeing that, oh, we do this in Christianity, this is a hand position.
Hmm.
This hand position is also seen in Buddhism. It's also seen in Hinduism. Like there are things, and there are strategies, and there are body movements, and there are personal practices that are in correlation across multiple religions and multiple cultures. But being associated with that doesn't make it evil.
Got it.
I like to equate it to food, and I equate a lot of things to food. I like food.
Yes.
But
And you
I
like
like
to cook too. You like to cook.
I do. I have, I really embraced cooking, not just to cook for my sexy chocolate husband, but also to take care of my body because gluten-free wasn't cool when I was gluten-free. And
Right.
so I had to do cooking or I would get sick. Yes. Now I
Got
have
it.
forgotten the other thing that I was saying. Hold on. Okay. That's how I bring it back. Okay. So I like to equate it to food. And some people, they overindulge and they eat certain types of food and they're like, well, I like this food, but I don't like that food. I like food that comes in a bag, but I don't like food that comes from the earth. Like people can be really particular and it's so varied that people can make it into their own thing. They can take the same ingredients and make it into Italian food, take the same ingredients and make it into American food. And, that correlation is possible. That it doesn't mean they are one and the same. So I like to talk to my scholars and say, let's be really honest about what yoga is. Yoga is not a religion. Yoga teaches us how to be connected to self and to God. And every time, and this was something that really helped me to when I first started yoga, every time we would do the sun salutation, I would come back and I would ask for God to protect me and to take care of me in this journey as I learn more about the body, the breath, the mind, the energy that I've been given. And that's really what it is. It's a practice to connect to self on multiple levels. And I feel closer to God than ever before. I feel closer to myself than ever before. And that's really that's the change. That's the change. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So just a couple more questions for you. So you are Afro Yoga Queen, ladies and gentlemen. We have
Yes,
a
that is what I go by on the Instagram.
right. We have Afro Yoga Queen here. You are a leader in this yoga movement. What do you believe is the most significant impact of seeing Black women embrace and lead in yoga spaces, not just for the participants themselves, but for the broader perception of wellness in the Black community? Tell us more about why yoga.
Yeah. Every time we see something that we desire, we imagine ourselves there. So even if someone doesn't want to be a yoga teacher, they see someone living a happy life,
Mhm.
smiling, but not just one of those fake smiles, like really being themselves, that creates that aspiration because we as humans are aspirational. So that's why we get inspired by the things we see. When people see that and they desire to be that, they know that there's something other than being angry all the time and being over emotional and
Mm.
overstimulated and stressed out. They see it as an ability to do. So that's one of the deeper important things. The more people that do yoga, the more people that are nice, even though you accidentally bump them when you walk by, or that ask you how you doing and actually care about the answer.
Mm.
Like that's what we're really creating in our people.
I appreciate that. And you're right. Because when you operate from a place of peace, it's like, oh, I want some of what she's got. I want like what's you know what I mean? So I like it. I respect it. All right. So you have some incredible initiatives happening. I'm so inspired by you. Can you tell us more about your yoga documentary, where that came from, what it is, what it's going to be, and your most recent key contribution to a Guinness World Record being set?
Yes. Okay. So I'll turn it around and answer the second one first. So it has been such a great pleasure to host teacher trainings in general. We've trained Olympians, medal winning Olympians in the past. Like we just really like to lead the charge as the top, like I said before, I love accolades. And so I like to recognize people who are really doing big things. That's how you get accolades, to do
Right.
big things. So I stopped like seeing myself as like, oh, I do the most, like, oh, Alicia, you do the most. And it's like, why not do the most? Do the most. Doing the most is fun. So we do the most. And with that being said, I had a yoga teacher colleague. We were hosting the teacher training documentary. And I feel like all these world records are broken by, people of color, but they don't really represent the entirety of the practice of yoga, like what we look like, how we live, and why we do this work. So I saw her baby girl practicing and teaching yoga. They were teaching together, she was having her help in mindfulness camps with kids and stuff. And I was like, okay. So like I said, the scholar in me, I like really having the support system for those who are yearning for knowledge. And they
Right.
say they have this thing, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I said,
Yes.
I see her teaching. Let's give her the parameters. Let's give her the safety. Let's give her the anatomy. Let's give her all the things that are really going to support her in teaching amazing classes and hosting the community.
Hmm.
And then I also said, by the way, she'll be the youngest yoga teacher in the world. And Sydney and I looked at each other, was like, oh, we're gonna break a world record. And she said, let me ask her. It was entirely her idea, and I believe in consent with everything.
Right.
So she had a straight up conversation, and Phoenix said, yes, I would love to do this. And so she intentionally has stepped into the spotlight, which, it's been lights, camera, action, even on the days when she doesn't feel good, like she's sick, it's on the schedule. So we got to get it done, at least at this moment with schedules. Anyways, she's breaking the Guinness World Record at 5 years old. She is not only the youngest female yoga teacher in the world, but she's the youngest yoga teacher in the world out of both female and male, and has such a matter of fact way of teaching. I mean, and then at the end, she gives affirmations. It's just such an amazing class. She's on YouTube. Definitely find her, Phoenix Giselle, Rise and Shine. Oh my gosh. I just love her little videos. They're so cute. And she, I actually felt better after taking her class. So loving the personality. She really is herself in class. And so I definitely see her as a pioneer. She has
Yeah.
stepped up. She's felt the call and stepped up, and now she's sharing yoga with kids, which is important. Which, I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah, like peer to peer. It's one thing when it's like I do kids yoga and I'm an adult, but what if I'm a kid and I can talk in kid language and I'm also, and I will say very briefly before you share with us about your yoga documentary as well, I met Phoenix Giselle when I was in town for your incredible Juneteenth event this summer 2025. And, I was able to get a photo with her. I felt very special. But when we were making a decision about what pose to do for our photo, she didn't know that I was a yoga teacher and it didn't matter. She's a yoga teacher. So she was just like, well, let's do this pose. Let's do tree pose. And she's like, you can bring your foot here, here, but you can keep it here if you want. And I was like, oh my gosh. She's giving me modifications very naturally. She wasn't condescending. She was just like, this is a tree pose, but you can keep your foot here at your ankle if you like. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to take that modification today.
Yeah.
Right? So she is, to your point, she's a pioneer. I can't wait to see what comes from her. So congratulations, kudos to you for seeing that in her, observing her with Sydney and then saying, let's make a go. And I'm grateful that you did get her consent. There's no way that you're like taking advantage of this young girl. Like she's a part of it. It's her idea. So thank you. Now tell us before we go about this yoga documentary. What
Yes.
is it? What's in it? What's it going to be about? Who's in it? What is it?
Yes. Okay. So the documentary, just like everything I do, and I feel like I learned this from Beyonce. She's one of my mentors. I follow what she does and, do the things. So we do in phases. And the phase we just completed for the documentary, this was the in-person immersion. So, like I said, one of my goals is to have qualified, skilled teachers that teach the person and not force a pose. And so that's really, when you said that, I was just like, yes, I love that she offered that, because we
Mm-hmm.
teach alignment-based yoga. Because when I was diagnosed with lupus, there were some days where it was like, yes, all the push-ups. And there were
Yeah.
some days it was like, I don't think I'm getting out of bed. So really allowing that intentional class like that excites me. I love that about Phoenix. She can do that very skillfully. On the other side, the documentary itself, we did the first phase was the training phase, and we had 200 and 500-hour training happening. It was somewhat simultaneously. They had two different schedules, but essentially they followed along and they graduated on the International Day of Yoga. So
Okay.
at our school, we have two graduations a year. We do a December graduation for great timing to start out with the New Year energy, starting in June to support the community. And then we have a June on International Day of Yoga graduation. And so that's what you saw. We call it our Yoga Wellness Week, where we have, back-to-back events lined up, and then they graduate at the end.
Okay.
So that component where we captured the feelings that they had, the emotions that they have, because, being through yoga teacher training,
Right.
there's a lot of shift, transition, resistance, evolution. There's so many things that happen individually.
Right.
We don't leave the same that we came. At least
Correct.
I hope that if you're taking a teacher training, and this is for any type of teacher training, whatever studio, student, classroom, hopefully there's something that changes through
Yes.
that process. And that's what the main thing that I would say to look for, and maybe even to ask when you ask the school, like, how do people usually transform? What's the transformational process? Anyways, beyond that, we have our next steps. So our next phase will be to connect with more experts in the industry. So we've been talking to yoga scholars from all over. We will be talking to people who are really making waves and they see things differently and things that contribute. Oh, this word, I always say it differently in English and French. Contribute in English,
Yes.
yes. Okay. Things that contribute to making this world a better place and using yoga to do it. So that's our second phase where we'll be doing that. And then we'll go through, put these things together with the storyline, because I love a little language learning. We'll have that component. Let me go back. I love learning and language on the side. But they'll have that component, be able to learn and put it together in the documentary. And it's really designed to allow people to see what yoga is about without taking a class. If I can take a documentary and see, okay, I'm a little bit curious about this, but I'm not going to a class yet. So this is
Right.
especially for people that Christians who've been told yoga was evil. Can you check out a little snippet, see it
Right.
on social media and say, I want to learn more about that.
Got
And
it.
then it'll take them to start filling up classes. So the only person of color isn't the teacher,
Correct. Correct. Hello.
and start being nicer to people in their community and just really changing the landscape of how we interact on a human level.
Awesome. And your distribution platform, will you do it on social, or are you planning on having a wider screen for distribution of it?
Yeah, we're definitely going to leverage social
Okay.
based on the different platforms that we have planned, but we are talking to distributors to have it. And so we can't really give a lot of information because we're still in talks,
Okay.
information publicly yet, but we
Okay.
do have like a couple of different channels we're talking to.
Cool. All right, sister. So you're a very busy woman. You've given us so much time this morning. I just have one final question I want to understand. So, with so many entities, such a mission driven and a spirit led life, and so many things you're doing, and you're a wife, right? And you're a dog mom, and you just got a lot going on. What are some of your wellness rituals that you partake in regularly to stay balanced and sane as a leader in the wellness movement?
Ooh, yes. Okay. An easy one that I started doing was taught to me by one of my teachers, David G. It's RPM, Rise, P, Meditate. I I would use the time
Hmm.
where I would like press snooze in the past, that good old, I know when I was in corporate America,
Yes.
I used to press snooze so much. That time. So I would get up immediately after the alarm if I need to pee, but I would meditate. So sometimes I would still be in the bed. Sometimes I might be still cuddled up, but I take that time to do breath work, do conscious meditation. And that's something that, even when I have to wake up really early, we're during a training or something, I find that I can always have time to do that. So I've always started my day with breath work and with meditation. And that has been a major game changer for my level headedness,
Mm-hmm.
especially when leading trainings. It's really helpful to be balanced here so that you could demonstrate that for students.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I have smoothie every day, except like one day a month. But other than that, I have a smoothie every day, and I
Nice.
speak affirmations into my smoothie, while it's.
Well, you making
Mhm.
it? What do you
Mhm.
put in? Is it different things every day or the same thing?
I have found my smoothie flavor that I love, and I do it every day. I vary sometimes depending on what frozen fruit I get, but it's usually banana, wild blueberries, and then some other, fruit of some. Like that's the banana, the blueberries, but then the other fruit is the thing that changes. But I do cinnamon, chlorophyll, and turmeric.
Mm.
And then literally as I'm putting in the cinnamon, I speak abundance in there, abundance of access, abundance of, all different energies. And then the turmeric, health, optimal, I usually say optimal function and at a cellular level.
Ooh.
So I really like to really give those really specific affirmations. And then I blend it up and I just enjoy it. It's so good. I'll take it to go. If I literally, when I would teach at 7 a.m. at Rice University with the training, I would take it, blend it up, and have it with me. I mean, it was a non-negotiable. And those two are my non-negotiables for sure.
Okay.
Oh, and lots
And
of hugs. Hugs,
and
like
lots of hugs. Hugs.
hugs. With the dog, my 133-pound dog is a great hugger. He is amazing. And then,
I've
of
heard
course, with my sexy chocolate
that.
husband.
Well, sister, you have been such a light. And for anybody who wants to support you and what you're doing, where and how should we support you?
Number one, I would say do yoga. That's what supports the mission. It doesn't have to be with me, it doesn't have to be with any of the teachers. Do it for yourself. That's the biggest way to support what I'm up to. And then if there are ever any ways that you want to connect, whether it be in at a student level or at a colleague level, like let's connect. I love to connect and it's something that I feel like will make our movement stronger.
Afro Yoga Queen, thank you so much, Alicia, for spending time with us today. I'm in awe. I think the world is better for you being in it and for your boldness and for your courageousness. So thank you for being you. And for all of our freedomats, try yoga, right? I've always been about find your freedom at the mat, whether it's meditation, whether it's Pilates, whether it's strength training, whether it's yoga, but just try it, right? And what I also say is, and we didn't talk about this very much today, is that yoga is just one word. There are first of all, yoga does mean the yoke, the union of the body, mind, and soul. But there are so many different types. So if you try one yoga class and you don't like it, try not to eschew the entire philosophy of yoga, right? You've got Hatha, Vinyasa, Kinetic, Ashtanga,
Yoga
Kundalini,
Nidra.
Yoga Nidra, right? Am I missing? Are there some other ones?
Oh
Bikram.
yeah. I mean meditation. There's Iyengar. So many.
Yes.
Ashtanga.
So yes. So I think that's just getting into a few of them, right? Just name dropping those names. Like when I first tried my yoga class, and I'm ending, but when I first started my very first one, which is in 1996 in Chicago, I didn't know at that time that yoga class was hatha. So I did not do yoga again until about 2004 because I thought, oh, I took a yoga class, I didn't like it, and I literally was like, I did one. So I want everybody to try yoga, like Alicia is saying, right? Find different teachers, find different styles, and just see if you like it. And you don't have to chant at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Think of it like, when you go to that grocery store and they have samples think of it like you get a little taste of this.
Yes.
An hour, that's a little sample, a little sample.
Lovely way of looking at it. All right, sister. Well, thank you so much. Continue to support Alicia Dugar Stephenson. You can get more from her on her Instagram at Afro Yoga Queen. And we look forward to hearing more.
I like to say Afro Yoga Queen.
That's right. All three. Ashe, everybody. See you soon.
Peace.